So it's not quite 5 yet, but I've been up for a while. But I still, it was like I just woke up. So at least that's good. It's always nice when I just, my own self wakes up. If somebody else just wakes me up, that makes me really feel out of it. But no matter what, I don't even know for how long. I can't shake this just being tired. It's like everything just feels exhausting. It's just like, God, I could sleep. Yeah, I could sleep. Yeah, I could at any given moment. And then even when I go and try, it's like Stella is it determined to limit my sleeping or relaxing. Like I've got to be up and at 'em at all times. She's got things that she needs. We got things to get done. It's just like, oh my God. And I don't know if it's like the universe is just trying to keep me from sleeping or it's the archons. I can't figure it out. but but definitely like in the middle of the day of her and or morning and late morning because I get up so early that if they lay down and go to sleep, I can go to sleep real quick. And then I'll just still feel tired. It's just so weird. I think it's just the energy or something. It's just super draining. When I got up too, I could see like the moon coming through, which there's nothing in their rotations doesn't make sense. For one thing, the motherfucking sun goes out around way out there. Now the moon is way up here and it's 2:30 in the morning when I got up and it was like right above me. But then when I went out to go see, it was still like the trees were blocking right there. So it wasn't going to go like right above me. It's still going to go, but it's way higher than the sun, way higher than the sun. And but it was like so much overcast. You couldn't see because I took my thing out there. I was scared though. They're watching us and you're looking at them and it's like I don't want to make eye contact really, even though it's probably who we're talking to all the time, but still it is I don't know, it's unnerving. It makes you like I don't know because the world like having a deeper understanding of spirituality doesn't necessarily make everything feel like, no worries. Like there's a point, there becomes a point to it that it's so vast that it's unnerving. And that is where I feel like that, like these little spacesuits are comforting. Like, oh, look, there's a boundary here. So, I think that it feels good. Well, that's what I thought ever since I was a kid. I was like, man, this thing's fucking cool. Go look at this thing. And then, uh, but because I had just seen this video, this guy saying to watch this levels of awareness level. I think it's just called levels. The one I watched, levels 2, and I thought it was home math, levels of thinking. Okay, so when I put it in YouTube, it's levels of thinking, home math pops up. And so I thought it was levels of thinking of home math, but it's home math on his little thing. But so he is explaining levels of consciousness and he has these, I don't know, I think that the one thing about a lot of us that see like patterns and we see like something that other people don't see, that is where they came up with calling, like saying like we're schizophrenic or neurodivergent, like there's something off with our thinking, but it's not something off. It's just that they want us to feel insecure and want people to not give relevance to what the people say and stuff like that. But then there's just, I don't know, there's just like, there's a gift to this out of thinking, this out of the box thinking. And it's not like anybody's doing anything wrong. There just has to be all the different things. And so there's a lot of these people who understand things and explain them. When I could understand all the stuff he was saying. Like the one guy was like, "Go try and get through it, man. How far can you get?" And that's why I was like, well, let's go see then. Let's go check this out. How far can I get through these levels of awareness? I've gone through all the levels of awareness that he had on his thing. And I see now I would explain them different, because if you listen to how I talk, like the things I say, then you will see that that is what I'm talking about. But it's like I'm talking about it from a different perspective. Like he explains it in a different way in drawings and stuff, and he explains like different relationships and possible patterns and stuff. Like you can go watch it, and it can help you. I think any kind of information can help you like comprehend or understand what it is that you are trying to accomplish and what it is that you're trying to resolve or get done. And so it is, and it has to do with the more that you advance and you're opening your mind, the more that that creates acceptance. And that's about the vibration that it creates. That is what creates the heavens, is the acceptance of and it stands out to me so much, is you, me, any of us, that we are a product of everyone we've ever met. That is where we are a reflection of our reality. So whatever, all the people we've met, every interaction we've ever had, and this isn't just in this life. That's what's so trippy, is people limit themselves to just this life of their understanding when it's so much more vast. And that is what all your DNA and all your understanding and all your personality comes from. All these different interactions throughout your soul's journey of becoming a free, independent energy of like initial understanding, like of being able to comprehend self. And so that is in stages of development, and then is reaching like these pinnacle points. And this is but all these things are registered inside of you. That is what the creation of your DNA is. That is what you are, is your recipe. And you have all of these different experiences and different interactions that have molded you into a perspective of understanding. And then you carry that perspective forward. And that is what I talk about, where there's like so many different perspectives for the audience of the watchers, is it's all of us continuing. And it's cool looking, is that it has how that creates this color and vibration. It creates patterns and stuff. It is like it's all on these different levels. And then now I'm not talking about like the levels of understanding. Like I've said, everything is all these different levels. But levels of understanding, he's talking about a different thing. It's almost like, one-dimensional thinking, two-dimensional thinking, three-dimensional thinking. And it goes further and further into broader understandings of being able to understand these concepts that I'm talking about. You are you, I am me. There is what makes us up is to our individual beings, and our individual purpose through existence is to express oneself as its true authentic nature. And then that is going through these processes and these different levels. But this the level of that he's talking about, what he was saying was where you can let me think, because when it's not my own thing, it's hard for me to like I can't, it's like, I don't know, it's weird. It's like, that's how he sees things. That's how he understands things. That's how he expresses. And so it's like, it's harder for me to say it like right or something. It's better just to watch him explain it. But it was like, he was doing things like, okay, so he was drawing these pictures. Okay, so then you identify as yourself, and then once you can understand your part, and then there's lots of arrows and stuff. But anyways, he's talking about this it's the steps or the journey to enlightenment. But then there's other levels because he's not interjecting about spirituality and stuff like that. I don't remember him saying anything about that. I mean, he might have said something, but like if you go watch it. Oh, which by the way, yesterday, sometimes I'll get so excited, there'll be a comment, I'll get a notification, I'll be so excited, and to see, who it is, or, what, if there's a question that somebody wants me to answer or something, and usually, it's just chat, chit chat, with people who I talk to all the time. And Rob, he does comments, and he always just like says little snippets, and because words are words, sometimes like I don't understand what he's saying, and I've told him that before. And because when I very first started talking to him, I asked him if English was his first language. Because I was like, okay, maybe I'm not understanding because he's speaking like broken English. So I was taking it on as like, maybe I'm just not understanding because how he uses his words is different. But we all use our words different. And and when we have just using words to communicate, there can be a lot of misunderstanding. And so, oh, that's one thing too in the levels is it's like it's an overthinking, and that's where you can start like losing your mind at these different levels. And that's what that's what I've been saying through this stuff. Like for some of these people, like, it has to go through these levels, because there's definitely parts where it is like, okay, the water's too open, I'm like really freaking here, like where it just feels like, and I've been going through that lately with this whole, uh, ghosts of the ex-boyfriends showing up. And no, it was not 14 when I met him. I was about to turn 18, and I was 17 though. I was at the end of high school when I met him, and became, oh my God, as soon as they're talking about it, and there goes his name across the thing. Like, it's so trippy. Like, he's around. It's weird to have him around so much. I like it, because I feel like now I understand, like, our soul's connection, like, that we had a soul connection. There's no wonder why I was so, but it's hard to process through. And it's teaching me a lot of hard lessons, like, but being insecure is such a, like, it is such a handicap. It is not just a handicap to you, it's a handicap to everyone around you. Like, you really do put out like this negative karma off of your own self-expression of insecurity, because of where it all comes from, and then how you react to other people. And there's nothing, it's like real and authentic, but it's so dysfunctional. Like, we are, like, all of our relationships have been based on so much dysfunction. It's crazy how through all of our different lives, it's just been, but it's been a part of their plan, to keep us like in these dysfunctional, frustrated states of mind, keep us so stressed out. We either want to drink, we need a drug, we need something, we need to feel better. Somebody help me feel better. Somebody love me. Somebody help me. Somebody save me. And that's this total victim mentality that we're moving out of. This is the rebirth of humanity. This is like mankind coming into his own. This is like mankind being pushed out of the nest and having to fly. This is taking flight as a species, as beings. And so anyways, yeah, it's gonna hurt and be painful. We're all having to go through all these different stages, but this is what these stages of development are all about. And this state of awareness, this coming into your state of awareness, and you can understand how much of your awareness was being manipulated by it's like programmed, like we were programmed. And then some of us started breaking the programming. We started busting out of it, or seeing confirmation, seeing through the programming, because of like, it's okay. So it's kind of like they created this autism situation with this, but it backfired on him because that left people not being able to access or control parts of themselves, but left them in another space that kept them into a connected space that the other people have been trying to interfere to keep us out of. So see how it is when they try and do, it's like when they try and do evil, good bounces back. When we try and do good, we keep having evil bounce back. It's like these things uh is like the other side of all these things. So when they have when they try and do certain things, this other side plays out. And it is like, it's like the darkness is like the darkness is almost like it's like uh janitors that have to be working at all times. It's like they're just trying to keep the dark out or keep the light out all the time. So it's like that they are just uh is it heavy managing the dark. It's they don't want any light. I mean, to the point where, they red tie so many people beyond what we know. And just like, right now what's going on, like that is a total mackerel or whatever it is. Like it's throw them a mackerel or something. It's such a, it's it's so much the shadow people just picking one of the jesters and throwing him out at us and saying, yeah, take him. And it's like anything they can do to keep us from looking at them. The problem is that there was this whole plan that had been going on and going, and that certain people were being maneuvered around, and it's showing now. Like Rob Schneider came out with a big statement, or a lot of these people, like Cat Williams, like he's like no hold bars or whatever, like he's going all in. And Kevin Hart's going down, like and it was weird, like when some of these people is coming from nowhere, and all of a sudden it's just like they're super duper famous, and it's like, man, did I miss out on something? Like, what was this guy on? I think there's a lot of us that are all doing like we all expect, well, he was just on some show that we didn't know about or something, but it's all of their game. It's like who they promote. And when they are going to go all in on promotion on somebody, then they have, there's been a payment thing. There's been a contractual thing. And I don't know, like, I don't know on every single person's, because some people, they, blow up organically, like it happens naturally, and then they try and control them, like Adele, like Dave Chappelle and stuff. Like there's these people, and then they I don't know, they Rebel Wilson, I get, there's a whole bunch of them, these people, and they blow up, and it's not like I don't know that they were promoting Rebel Wilson a lot. And she showed up in some movies as like this oddball heavyset girl, and then people loved her. Realtors loved her, and then it's like she got super popular, so then they start giving more parts, and then their games, like, well, if you lose weight, then you can play the lead. And I think they did this kind of stuff to Amy Schumer too. I think she talked about this kind of stuff, like, and I think also the girl from Titanic, I think she's talked a lot about this, to like their weird things about weight, and it's all this, it's developing stereotypes and stuff. So a chubby girl, she can't have it all going on, can she? So it's got to be the tall blonde over there. She's got it all going on everywhere. And then you get all these other people that aren't that all sit there going like, she's got it all. Then they meet one in person like, oh, she's got it all going on. Fuck her. It's just like they're just this stereotype bullshit. It's all so absurd, man. But so when some of these people like blow up naturally, like Dave Chappelle, like they were obsessed about taking control of him. And and then what they do is, I don't know, they yeah, I don't know. I mean, because now you got all these people who are popping up who, killed themselves, or to get out of the industry. It was like the only way out. Now there's even somebody popping up who looks like Janis Joplin. I was like, dang, man, if that's really her, like, I don't even know how many people we're going to have popping up out of like, well, I had to escape these fucking cabals, so I had to pretend like I was dead. Like, we're going to have all these people popping up. What's cool, though, too, is the one thing that I keep getting from my questions about what's going on in my life is like, it's like this redo. It's like we get a redo. It's going to make me emotional, too. It's like all the stuff that we tried to do and tried to be and stuff, and we went in the wrong direction, and we went and learned our lessons. Now we get to experience like a redo. It's like humanity is gonna have this, like, and one thing too, like Rob Schneider's thing of like, wanting to go back. That's the thing, is we're not gonna go back. It's like our that's true. It's like our heart belongs to the past version, this ideal, and then it is but time goes forward. Like, one thing is trippy, Diggy's, like, oh, it's crazy. So he one thing that he really kind of enjoys is that I am stuck back in the past with him. I didn't go forward. This version of himself that he liked, I kind of feel like he didn't like getting older so much. That's probably why he died so young, is because it's like when those guys have their glory days. And I knew him in his glory days. I knew him at this point where, like, all the girl, like, he was very popular. Stella, I'm busy. And he was so cute. He was so cute the whole time. Like, I've seen these, he's cute even when he got older. But anyways, when I sit and like think of him and stuff, I that's the version of him that I see. That's the version of him. And it's kind of like this, well, he likes it, but this, what was that? Because I was relating it to something else. Because these past versions, oh yeah, of humanity. Okay, so and so, like, I can't go back to that. And then there's like a sense of, like, I wish I would have enjoyed it more when I was there. I wish I wouldn't have played so many games. I wish I would have been more, like, all the things you wish you would have, could have, should have been able to accomplish, but you weren't there yet because you hadn't learned them. And you have these hard, stiff lessons to go through to get you to the point. I mean, it's just weird how things go and circle around like that. Because you would think it would, like, lead me back to him if you were looking at the game in that way. But there's something, far more magical going on here, I think. So but so for humanity, when the people are like, we just want to go back to like this safety thing, like this concept of what it was, where we were before, but really this whole thing has been pushing us to something different. There's no like, oh, well, if we don't get the blues in, then we can go back to, being this. It's never going back. This whole thing that has been happening has been to push humanity in a whole new direction. And so, and I don't know. I mean, everybody's got all these different levels, and, and some people, it's like the white hat promoting a certain group of people and stuff, because there's still so much about religion and stuff like there, but it's all about the awakening. And it's not like that they can force you to awaken. Each person has to awaken in all these different seeds, all these different stuff out there is what triggers people's minds to start awakening. And so many people, as we can see, it's not doing it. And so that is where there's going to be this abrupt thing that's going to happen, because it's all to, force this big awakening. It's like this big scare is going to get everybody's attention, because it's so much of mind control. It's like, snap out of it, snap out. It's like, like when somebody faints and they're out of it or something, and they start slapping them or something. That's what the universe is basically going to do to all these people who, so you don't have to get frustrated. They're going to feel it. It's going to be like the slap, the slap that everybody talked about. Like, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be big. And and it's going to raise a lot of compassion and empathy in all these people who are very judgy of the people who aren't awake. That's how bad it's going to hurt those people. It's going to hurt these people just watching it. So it's going to be a powerful thing that's going to happen. I don't ever want anybody to think like I was making like, oh, it's no big deal, it's going to be so fun. No, it's going to be really hard. It's going to hit people. It's going to be, like, you would have to have a lack of compassion and empathy to be able to go through this and not feel the pain that's going to be felt by humanity. So it's going to be very profound, because this is a big shift that creates this big change. Everything thus far has been leading us into this escape. Hold on. Into this, this shift into this new way of living. And so everything is being shown to us. And then we have to see, like, oh God, this is horrible. This is so corrupt. This is so horrible. And that's why it's just going to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And there's so much. Like, somebody did this video, and it said, okay, so now we see the scapegoats for politics. We see the scapegoat for the music industry. We see the scapegoat for the movie industry. So what about the what's that called? Sports, which I was thinking it's probably LeBron. But but there's even more than that. Like the designers, and I'm telling you, like, the biggest problem is these fucking, who is that too? Because that was that guy who's with it says the person who backs the dealer is this billionaire, and then it has all this stuff about him. And that's the thing, is these people are puppets to these other people who have money. Like, everybody will do something for money. That's our problem in society, is what people will do for money and how low people will go, and where money isn't even real. Like, that's where it's like this. It is like this irrational game of, how far will you go? How low will you sink? To what level will you, for this thing that isn't even real? And it's like an illusion. It's like, because now I see, like, in a desert, when people are been out in the heat or something with no water, and they start seeing, what is that called? An illusion or something? A delusion, an illusion? It's where they start seeing, where they think that there's like a city up ahead, and they start seeing it and stuff. And then they, but that is kind of like, how the people live. Like, they think like everything that they go by is real, but it's not. You can't take it with you. So how can it be real? And then what's trippy too is, even what is left behind, people fight over it. Like, there's so much stuff for humanity to learn and to understand. Like, yeah, that's so weird how they fight over the things. And I don't know, there's so much to this appreciation of this moment in time that you have. And that is what, humanity is going to have is, all the things that were good that, that we liked, like the going to big picnic, going way back in time, is everything turned more yucky, more toxic. But, when you go back to a more wholesome time, going to the parks on 4th of July and all the people out there, the kids running around with their little Twizzler things or whatever they're called, and all the adults, and all the grills going, and everybody just, so much more social. Not mad. Well, I didn't like how you planted that garden on the side of your house. I didn't like how you did that. Well, I don't like that. All of this bitterness and anger that people just started shifting into and wanting to control everybody else. Well, I surely would feel better if that guy just would plant his flowers a different color. I would surely feel better if they weren't so noisy. Like we just want to blame the world on how we feel, not ever take any responsibility, and not understand that it's all coming from within. It's you, uh, it's like a distraction to stay angry at everybody else so you don't have to deal with your own emotions and being able to understand yourself. And there's so much value with understanding your own patterns, understanding your own consequences to your own life that you had lived. So, just like I was saying about that parentification thing, like it's a whole thing of, group of kids, a huge amount of us. Like I'm sure a lot of people who are firstborn and stuff, I think it is like a characteristic too of firstborn. But you become, especially in a toxic house, then you become so focused on what everybody else needs, your parents' needs and stuff. And, that was forced on me from a young age. Like I was always going around, like, what are you guys doing? You're going to get us in trouble. What are you guys doing? Don't do that. And even when I was 15, that my parents got me that special driver's license, so I could just go run errands for them and stuff. And even when I was younger, my dad would make me babysit all the time. Like I was always having to take care of my needs were never a thing. It's no wonder that when I started out on my general path in life, that it was, I was only focused on what other people needed. I didn't even know my own. Like I was so twisted up in my mind, with the Dickie thing. I was so twisted up to think that my insecurities reflected how he felt. It's like I'm going to protect myself because I'm so insecure, because I'm not pretty enough. I'm not all the things all the things that people have said to you too. Like at that point in time, I definitely felt like I was really stupid too. I had done so bad in school. like, like I talked about, like if you haven't been listening to me for a long time, you wouldn't know some of the stuff that I've said. So I'll kind of say it again. But back when I was a kid, I, now I think it's attention deficit. But back when I was a kid, they didn't have that yet. They didn't know anything about that. Came later. And so I would go into class and then the teacher would start talking. The worst was when all of it was the worst. School was the worst. I fucking hated school. And, I only graduated just because my parents got divorced. Or I'm not saying I'd only grad. I would have been forced to graduate, I'm sure. Is that when they got divorced, were moving me schools. I don't know. There was weird shit with that stuff and how they counted points. And so, I mean, how do you go through school flunking the whole time? And then your last year, you have one class. So, and it was work program class. It wasn't even a class that I had to work at. It was just like show up and hang out with everybody and then go do a job. And my dad owned a business. So my job was one that I never showed up at. It just pissed everybody off all the time. And I would get paid. I can see where people thought I was bratty for sure. But what was I talking about? School? Uh, I have no idea where I was going. Oh, I just go all over the place. What the fuck was I talking about? So anyways, that school graduation. Oh yeah, okay. So I didn't do well in school. I was making all F's all the time. And then they would do the testing where we had to fill in the dots. And my guides would always tell me not to do the test, just to fill in the dots. And so I would just color in the dots. And I would, even if I would try and read the questions, because after a while, I kept failing all those tests. And then I remember trying to read the questions and it was like, I don't even understand what the fuck they're saying. It was like, it would just make it where you couldn't understand. So it would just be like, blah, blah, blah. Like they are able to do that. Like when you have a problem and someone's telling you something, you just cannot even fucking fathom it. You can't comprehend it. You can't understand what they're saying. It just sounds like that there's wind blowing through your brain. That's all on purpose. It's like, it's something that you don't need to hear yet or understand yet or whatever. And that's something that I think has become crystal clear in this awakening. Like how many people you try and tell something to, and then it's like they don't understand what you're saying. They start saying weird shit. And it's just like, that's where it's like, okay, you're not supposed to wake up yet. And then so many times it feels like, you're supposed to. Like you're going to tell them this thing and it's going to be like this big epiphany moment for them. It doesn't happen. It's like, okay, well, the universe has a pretty big plan for you. So anyways, when I was in school, so I would fall asleep all the time in class. It wouldn't be fall asleep because I would just be sitting there. I would just leave. I would leave my body and I would go. Like I've said, I've always, it's an easy slip for me. It's not a big thing. And it's got to be just because when I was so little and they started talking to me, that it was like, always knowing there's that room, it's where they're talking, always having that there. Never, so it was, I don't know, because it's always been right there to me. And so I, back then, when my parents would get called in, it was really like, I can't believe they didn't put me in special ed. It's probably because I didn't look like, back then the kids in special ed all had like serious things wrong. Like they were definitely special ed, like, and so maybe that's why, because nowadays they put all sorts of kids, like every kid's in special ed. You don't read fast enough, special ed, so, but back then it was, all the kids, we were in class together, and the special ed was the kids that were like in wheelchairs, that could talk, and they're drooling and stuff like that. So, anyways, but I did super poorly in school. And so I thought I was really stupid. And then I did weird things all the time where people would always be like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? And stuff. Like people, what I've come to realize though is anytime that you're doing something that not everybody else is doing, it's like the trailblazer, like you're doing something, like you're trying it first, you're going to do it first and stuff like that. It's going to be uncomfortable to everybody else. It doesn't mean that you're weird or crazy or wrong. You're the one who came to, to go in that direction, even though everybody else wants to go that direction. And so, but we had to, like, there had to be an opening of more directions, but it creates a lot of insecurity. Like when I look back and I think of like, God damn, I was so full of insecurities. Like I'm fresh coming out of high school, or fresh coming out of school, itty bitty titty committee. The boys were relentless about that. And then I was in Amazon. I was like, you know, I didn't come out of school feeling confident, not like the other Kelly. Like, she was very average, and, you know, she came out of, with a lot of confidence. A lot of confidence. I even was still scouring through, looking through the history, and found a video with her and them doing this talk, a pretend interview or something. And she's talking about, you know, how much she looks like Brooke Shields or something. And anyways, she was full of confidence. So yeah, that was my competition, and I couldn't see anything but that. That's all I could see. You know, she's wearing this white outfit. She's got like all this stuff, and um, I dressed like I would go to the thrift stores, get these really. I dressed like more retro or old fashioned back then. I still if you see some of my dresses, it would still be like that. The But yeah, I liked to dress, and a bunch of the people from my group, and that was the thing too. Is like when we would go to the punk rock clubs, it would still I fit in because the new wave group, it had you know, like ska music and stuff. So I was more like those kinds of people, the people from uh, like Madness and stuff like these bands. So anyways, but it was the music thing was going in a lot of different directions back then, because it trips me out. Even like if you go put in 80s music, you're not necessarily going to have The Cure pop up. You have hair bands pop up. And then when I think, oh my gosh, that was the 80s when I was hanging out, and all those guys that were, because I saw this other girl, she was talking about this, and she was hanging out with Motley Crue, but she said she was Joey Ramone's girlfriend, and so she has all these pictures, and she was like 14 or something like that when she had met like, she's much younger than I would have been, because when I was hanging out, and well, I don't know when she met Motley Crue, at what age, but the period of time where I'm talking about is like mid-20s, when I was in my mid-20s, late 20s. So that is the time in Hollywood where there was like uh just that, I don't know, Motley Crue kind of era of music. There was lots of music. There was lots of bands playing all the time. Everywhere you went, there was all these musicians everywhere. It was back when they had the Hollywood bikers, where, you know, all of a sudden all these guys wanted to be badass bikers. So they all started dressing like bikers, and all got in Harleys, and they all drive around like they were bikers. And that was a kind of a funny thing. And then, but it was like an era. Like, I feel so much like I feel so fortunate that I've got to go through these different eras, these different periods of time of experience. But on those bands, like, you know, I was not into guys that wore makeup or big hair or that music. And that is the same thing with that girl, but that's what was popular out there. That's when you went out to the clubs, then it was like that. Like, if you went down in Hollywood and stuff, that was like, I can just see, like, there's just tall, skinny guys with these fucking huge ass hair, and they'd have like, guys would dress like in like, it's so silly now how they try to make like androgyny as something new or something. Jeez, you didn't live through the 70s and 80s, and is in these guys with these huge hair. Perms were so popular then too, but all this makeup and stuff, like, a lot of guys wore way more makeup than their girls. It was so much makeup, fingernails, all that, not fingernails, but polish. So but then they also, you know, would have a lot of tattoos and stuff. They weren't like having makeup and hair and then trying to look like girls. They were looking like guys, but with me, I don't know. Because it was definitely a style. Like, my sister liked those guys. Like, she thought that they were super cute guys with makeup and big hair and stuff like that. I didn't. And but anyways, it was super fun to go and hang out. And it was a fun era to get to experience, to go out and do all that stuff. But yeah, more of my, I'm way more of like old fashioned or something like, like I'm sitting here this morning watching an old Bob Hope movie. Like I like old movies and, um, I don't know. I don't think I was, even then, I wouldn't say I was trendy because I was going and finding stuff that I liked. I was making my own clothes and stuff, but there was definitely, and it was kind of like when we very first started doing it, like I said, when we started going to the bar and stuff, it was like, I don't know, it was different. And um it is like, okay, because it was like when we very first started going, and there would be like hardly any people on the dance floor. And then as we started going, it was like we created this whole scene. And then it became this whole thing. And then people were on the dance floor. It was all these more people coming because there was more. And it got super popular. So we created it. And then that's when these girls, you know, because before the people who I was friends with were like their wives, and then we had some other friends like Alice. That was my friend that I hung out with them, and I think I met her because she was a groupie, and like a groupie, like because she was with one of the guys from the Cars. That was a band back then, so she like knew those kinds of people and stuff. So she was really into bands and music, but so I became friends with her, and she was friends with all these other people. Her and I became such good friends. And the other people though were like the wives of the people who played and stuff, and then their friends, and everybody had all of this style and stuff. So it was naturally I was going to start being more, like that. And so that whole group, they were very trendy, like how they dressed. And so it was trendy on the sense of it was different than everybody else. And then, and it, to me, it went for both places. It was not like I had to change and have a totally different wardrobe to go over here. It was like I could wear the same clothes in both places. So it wasn't, that's just like how I was. I just like dressed kind of old fashioned, but there was a lot of people. Like there was like a lot of friends and stuff that we just dressed like old fashioned. And then the I think what else? Oh yeah, because I was gonna say this. So yesterday I go and look at the comments, and it showed there was 2 notifications, and one of them was somebody, I don't think I'd ever talked to them before, and they said something I can't remember. But then Rob, there was a comment from Rob, and he's always saying comments. And one thing is, I only get notified of like, I would say a quarter of your comments, Rob. Like I just run across them. So if I don't answer them, I don't get notified of all your comments for some reason. But what, man, this is attacking my throat. Hold on. Fuck. But so, but this was weird. So yesterday I go on there and I see these 2 notifications, and I don't remember the first one. I think it was just something nice, and so I just did a heart. Then Rob said something, and then there was another one that said something weird. And so I thought, well, it's got to be Rob, because I never understand what the hell he's saying. So then, and then there's another one, and another one, and another one. And I'm like, well, where did all these comments come from? It said there's 2. And so at first I thought that it was Rob. But then I'm like, these are really fucking rude, man. This person is rude. And so then I click on it, and it's like, oh, this isn't Rob. This is some other person. I don't even know. Maybe her name was Pam. I don't know. I think it was something like that. And Patricia or Pam or something like that. And so she starts saying these comments. For one thing, she starts telling me what a horrible person I am, that I didn't care about Dickie's wife. And, like, it's so crazy when somebody is sitting there judging you and telling you, it's like, you're judging me But how is that like, what, have you never done anything in your life that you feel like you can turn around and judge somebody else? Like, and so she's trying to go in hard on me and say this rude stuff. And then she just goes off and just starts putting a whole bunch of rude comments where I was like, oh my God, this is so weird. And so, and there was not one notification. I was looking in my emails. I was looking on the thing, not one notification of this person's stuff. And they're in the comments, they're trying to like start conversations and talk about how, what a shitty person I am. And, so then I was like, oh, so YouTube is going to not give me notifications of this person. And then right where they're talking, right here, you have your community guidelines where people aren't allowed to do that. But that's so crazy. So you're going to not tell me that this person's doing it. They're going to be in here doing it. You're not going to stop them. And so apparently this is a part of your practice. Like this is you know, like this is a bot or something. And I don't know, so this person was so outrageous. I did delete her stuff. Normally I don't delete somebody's comments, but I was like, fuck this. And so I deleted their comments because it says I can remove them, which I didn't know. Like, and I don't know if I only remove them for me or everybody else can still see them or what, because that's one thing that's also not consistent on my numbers, on my comments, the numbers on views. I've seen the likes go up and then they flip back, like all their things. It's everything on my account. They mess with it. And then they're going to put these bot people on me or something and have them come in and attack me, attack my accounts, try and get people to turn against me, or it's just like this really negative, toxic energy, you know? And so then I went and looked at her thing and it said, you know, it was a, well, they always have a page. I think it said like 26 comments, but there was something else that said 66. So I don't know if it was like, I don't know what her deal was, but I tried to block it, but all they give you is this option to hide user from your page. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll hide the user from my page, but I don't know. So she could still be out there seeing my stuff. I just can't see her. And then they can just switch it to another person. But just be aware that they, for one thing, I don't see all this stuff. They don't notify me. They're very picky and choosy over what I get notified of. They will go in and change people's, or delete people's comments over people. I swear to God, some of the people who talk to me the most, they get their comments deleted. And and then they put these people who are just as hateful. If this is a real person, it's like, oh my God, what a, you know, I mean, I don't want to say all the words that are coming to my head. And that's one thing too, is that in the leveling of thinking or whatever, that guy's video, where he said, he keeps saying, just because you have awareness doesn't mean that you're more nice. And that is something that is very, very true that I wanted to say, because I think people think because, you know, like you claim you're spiritual, you know, like once you claim you're spiritual, you're supposed to just go around like, oh, anybody can do whatever they want to me, I'm fine. It's like, no, where you become true, you become authentic, you become real. And we have both things inside of us. So yeah, you're going to, whatever you're going to push the button on, you're going to see it's going to come. And, you know, I've got, it's not my duty to run around holding anybody's hands anymore. See, that's what happens when you heal. Before, you're running around, you know, trying to, oh, well, I don't want to hurt their feelings. Well, I just won't say that. Well, I won't do that. Well, I'll do this, you know, trying to take care of everybody else's feelings. And then you don't give a shit about your own, and everybody's stomping on you, and then you're just mad and sad, and nobody cares, nobody, you know, and we just all get beat down. But it's this whole toxic way that we develop into our weird ass relationships is what creates it. And so as you move into states of consciousness and stuff, that doesn't just make you into just somebody who's passive. Like you're just going to let anybody stomp all over you. So I think that it makes you into somebody who's more real, and it can be very uncomfortable for people because you're just going to say what's real. You're not going to try and be like, oh, well, you know, I better say nice. You're just going to be like real. Like, oh, well, you know, that's what I think. And people are used to this fakeness that we've developed into. And so then people take you as like crass or hard or mean or whatever. But so don't feel like that you are, because you've reached a point of being able to see through the bullshit. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I see through the bullshit. And it's very difficult, you know. I mean, this has been a difficult journey, seeing through the bullshit when everybody else just keeps on playing the bullshit. It's like, when are you guys going to stop playing the bullshit and start seeing through it? When are you guys going to start seeing? And then plus, when are you going to start seeing that you have control? You have control over your patterns. You have control over being able to see it. And then there's this whole thing with this spiritual evolving that we don't want to go back to where we were. That's not our fucking goal. That's not our journey. Let's go backwards. Let's just go back let's go back to where it felt safe. No. We're going forwards. We're going to take everything that we have learned, everything that we have grown through, and take it forward into a new development of our societal parameters and our building of communities. And there will be unity in the people who can find unity in their heart. The people who are left out of that are going to find themselves in their own isolation when they are not able to put their own swords aside, where they think everybody is their enemy because they're different. That is another thing that he talks about in the thinking, the levels of thinking. Means that when you can start understanding people's differences are just their differences. And that is what I was talking about, like where we're seeing this cultural breakdown where all these people think like these people from these other places need to be like me. It's like, no, that's a totally different, that's totally different learning. That's totally different stuff going on over there. And whatever each person, we can learn from each other, but it's not their duty to drop what they're doing and shift and become what you're doing. That's a different reality. That's different lessons. It's different things that we're doing. And then that's what I'm saying. It's like, I speak of it on a spiritual level, but you know, he was saying it on a different level. But how I see things is how I see things. And there is this the cultural differences, the differences of like, well, and that's also in a stage of the development when you start understanding, oh, there's differences, there's different people living over there living different, there's different people over there doing that different. That's a stage of it too. And that is where in this awakening where we start seeing like there was people who did not know there was shit going on in the Middle East. Like, what? How? But, you know, through the learning and stuff, like at certain different periods of time, we've all had different things pushed on us. I don't know what's been pushed on all them. Like, yeah, definitely back when I was younger, and it's really sad too, is because, you know, they pushed so hard on Gaddafi and telling us that he was such an evil person. And then we get to go through this period of time, though, to see like, fuck, that guy was a motherfucking saint. Fuck. That's the same thing as like that awakening, that awareness. That's what so many people are going to go through when all of a sudden they realize that Donald wasn't the person that they believed him to be. And it's so wild to watch this and watch how much hate can go towards somebody that is all based on your own ignorance, your own biases and stuff. It's like the people don't realize that it's all coming from inside you. They're feeding you what's inside of you. That hate that you are spewing out to somebody and you don't even know them, and that's okay with you. It's like you believe what they say, so you're going to go with it. And those parts in people, that's the parts that wake up and that they feel like, oh my God, I cannot believe I was such a dick. I know that's what happened to me. That was what happened in 2020 when I was on Twitter. When I used to be allowed on Twitter. Yeah, when all of a sudden I realized, like, oh my God, I am such a fucking bully. God, I cannot believe I was being so mean to him and saying all this rude shit. And then when you all of a sudden realize, like, he's so different than what you've been told, and you just feel stupid and small. And so it's you know, it's a thing. It's a part of the healing. It's part of your awareness to your own biases. That's what's so important. That's why I keep trying to tell people is you just don't realize your own biases, and they're based on these stereotypes and programming and your own pain, your own pain, and you know, a lot of it is like a cultural development. Like, you know, a lot of black people have been very mind controlled over how to look at the rest of us. And, you know, we've all been out to get them. We've all been their enemy, which, you know, that goes back to really deep seated stuff from a long time ago when, you know, that everybody was their enemy. Like, this was their land and they got stomped all over and their land taken and they got killed. And you know, it's, uh, you know, I think, you know, when it goes way back in their ancestry, that they have those, you know, the baton, like I said, we all have the baton passed to us. So all of the different things that their relatives experienced moves forward in a different aspect of pain. It comes in, you know, a form of control and belittlement. You know, like I saw this really good video somebody did. It made me so happy. And I can't remember, I think it was a song that was going or something. It was making me cry. It was like, I was so happy for this video. And it showed all of these black girls. It's making me cry again. And the song went so well with it. But it was showing all of these black girls taking off their weaves or their wigs and all their fake hair, taking all their fake hair off, taking their braids out, and just letting their hair go. I get so emotional because I remember when they used to wear their hair like that. And then it was society kept telling them that they couldn't. And then they did all this big push where you start hearing all of these girls saying, you know, like about the white girl hair and stuff. So it was a whole thing. And it was, you know, it's very sad to watch what they have done to people and beating them down. But, so all these girls taking their hair out and then letting their hair go natural, and how freeing. Like, fuck, dude. How free. Like, you're trying to change yourself and be something different and fight against your own thing. Like, I get that even on like our facial hair, you know, I'll like get so like with the tweezers in the mirror and stuff, and I'll think, this is so ridiculous. We're motherfucking mammals. We grow hair on our fucking face and we stress out about something that's so natural. And you know, it's like these girls fighting against their natural hair, which their natural hair is, it's like the perfect hair for this environment. It's like they're perfect antenna. Like, there's a reason why their hair is the way it is. And their hair is cool as fuck, man. You know, I think that's why they got shamed to change their hair, because they're cool. Their hair is so fucking cool. Like, how many people's hair can do that? Like, just like, it's fucking cool. It's like these antennas just coming off of their head. And so anyways, I'm really, you know, I get excited when I see people going back to this natural state of being proud of who they are, not being shamed. But that is a part of what I'm talking about, of this repression of, you know, well, they've done it on skin tone, hair texture. There's a lot of things where people were beat down. Like, your lips are too thick, your nose is too broad, all the things, you know, instead of just, I don't know, look, there was just such a generational beatdown. And so now, you know, we're seeing it all come to the surface, the repercussions of it, what happens when you beat people down. It's not good. It's not good. We need to be building people up. That's good. That's good. Building people up makes people feel good about themselves. Putting people out into the world that feel good about themselves creates a world where it's not a competitive hierarchy of trying to prove who's better than the other person. It's like, it creates an atmosphere of more of, oh, you need to reach that? Here, let me help you. You know, more of a thing where we all want each other to do well. We don't need to do better than somebody else so that we can feel good about ourselves. No, we all want everybody to do well. We want everybody to feel good. That's the world that we want, where people go out into the world and feel good, and they want other people to feel good. You know, we don't want people going out into the world that are sad and miserable and hateful, just want to slam the door into somebody, just want to punch somebody. Like, there's a video of this guy just walking down the street. There's this old lady. She's like fucking 84 years old. And this is, you know, the other generation of older, like this is where they were compliant to aging. And so this woman is like this old gray-haired lady, this little, she's pretty tall, but it's very skinny, and she has short white hair, and she's standing there with her dog, just the sweetest thing, you know, just standing out there with her dog. And this guy walks by, and he looks like a skeezer, 100% skeezer, and he starts talking to himself or something, or says something snide to her, like, probably reminds him of his grandma or something. And his grandma was rude to him, and now this guy was rude to him, and then grandma's rude to him. Like, everybody's just fucking, people just go around just holding all this anger and resentment, and all pinned up inside of them. And so he walks past her and says something under his breath, and then he turns around, sweeps back by, and just fucking punches her, and just turns around and walks off, just happy as pie, knocks her out. She's knocked out cold, broke her nose and stuff. And she's up and she's okay. And, you know, I'm like, fuck, you can't turn your back on the skeezers. If there's skeezers walking by, keep your fucking eyes on them. Don't take your eyes off of them, because that's what they're waiting for. That's when, you know, you look away, it's like, that's why you keep your eyes, and you keep your, where they said, you know, people keep your head on a fucking swivel or something. You keep aware. You watch your surroundings, you know, just, you know, and this is what, you know, a lot of people are starting to learn. And it is not just because we have so much evil around us, but it's a part of like our human development into awareness, of being aware of your environment. Because when you're not aware of your environment, you're too much stuck up in here. You're somewhere else. You're thinking about something else. You're focused on something else. You're not in the here and now. And so, and she could have been, you know, just really focused on her dog or whatever, but, you know, this is going to teach her. You get to focus on, you know, if somebody's walking past you, fucking pay attention. And, let me think, because there was another thing too that was coming into my head. Okay, so that guy punching that lady, and, oh yeah, the trial. Oh my God, there's so many of these trials, so many trials going on, but this one, this footage is being played out, man. And everybody, there's so many people that all saw the same thing. Because as soon as I saw it, I was like, what? And the whole thing, you know, you see the whole thing. And then even I had more reference, because this situation happened when I was in high school, with Lucinda. And this was the speculation that everybody had on the speculation of what happened with her situation. In hers, it was, so we were in high school, we were 16, and she was with the popular girls, but she was more quiet, but she was very pretty, and came from the right family. Her brother was really popular. And so she hung out with all the popular kids, but she was quiet. She was definitely quiet. And so then she, one day, her mother gets killed, and her father gets wounded, and she's the killer. Like this quiet girl who, you know, she's all of a sudden, she's gone and done her mom in and tried to do her dad in. And all because she wanted to go to a party or something. This is what, you know, and then the court, the case went and all that stuff. She ended up in Huntsville for a long time. She's out of prison now. But in the speculation, it was always like, so many of us thought like her dad got her to kill her mom. Like whatever the situation was, either he killed her, and then she found the situation, and he, you know, convinced her that it was by accident. Just tell him that you did it, because you'll get out, because you're not of age, because she was only 16. But I think they tried her as an adult. She went to Huntsville, in Huntsville State Prison. And that's a bad one. That's like where hardcore criminals go. And so she, but it was always thought like, there's no way she did not just do this. Like there's something weird with her dad. And I don't ever know, like, what, what the situation was. But so then this case, so the girl, she's like 14 or something, and she killed her mom. So she 3 times. And then, weirdly, after she does that and her mom's laying there, she calls a friend, says, come over and check out my mom's dead body. And her friend comes over and checks her out and then leaves. And then the girl calls the stepdad and says, come on home. And then he comes in the door and she gets him one to the shoulder. It's the same thing like with Lucinda's dad. Like the mom got really done in. Like this mom got 3, and the dad gets 1. Like, like, oh, my elbow got hurt. It was the same kind of thing. But what gets so fucking weird is like you look up the things of them in court. Oh, the girl is just like this teenage in love. When she looks over at him, you can feel her heart pitter patter, pitter patter. You see the butterflies coming out of her eyeballs when she looks at him, and he looks at her. You gotta go look and see what you pick up on. Is there a lot of people picking up on the same thing I'm picking up on? And then at one point he even mouths to her. I was like, okay, this is just. And she got 2 life sentences or something. Like you got 2 life. I don't know, because there's so many different videos. So if somebody has just added that on, is I didn't go look it up and see what her sentence is. She got guilty on first degree. I think there were 3 or 4 charges, and then guilty. And then there was videos that were saying that she got 2 concurrent life sentence plus 10. 2 life sentences. You're 14 years old. You get 2 life sentences. Jeez, you should have got fucking, Glory, her fucking attorney. What's her name? The one who, got out and got $1 million and writing books and movies and shit. What's her? Rose, Gypsy Rose. Like, which that is, that is like a catalyst to a division of information. And so all these different things, they're all these huge they're like the sacred cow of information. And so this girl, like, you're going to get 2 life sentences and plus 10. And this girl, what did she get? A couple. And the evidence, like you think, well, she was in the other room. She wasn't in the room. Go listen to the people with the evidence thing. And the guy, he said, oh, mom, 7 or 12 times or something, but she had like 50 of these wounds. It's like, okay, so who did the rest? The girl who was hiding in the bathroom with the music up? Like, there's shit that is like, you got some splaining to do. And so, it's all shady. Our judicial shady. They still are gonna fucking put Marcellus to fucking death. They haven't put any stay on him. The governor's turned off the fucking phone lines. People are fucking outraged, and they're still saying they're gonna fucking put this guy to death this week. It's like, the girl who killed Gunner, she got fired. But she got fired because she lied on her application. The dad's the least she got fired, but there's more shit coming out, more shady shit. Like these people, he's like, she's a serial killer. Like this isn't her first job of doing this and getting fired for this shit. These other people, like, these people they pretend to love animals because you work at a shelter. You don't fucking love animals. You fucking kill them all day long. Like, if you loved them, how would you do that? So, but all these things, everything is, what's real is being shown. You can't pretend anymore. You can't be like, well, I really like animals. I work at the shelter. It's my good chance. Hey, there's nurses who would fucking kill it. Like, there's like these different kind of serial killers were out injuring people, and then went to go get those jobs just so they could, because they do it hidden, so people wouldn't catch on. There's fucking ones like, there's so many coming out. Like, there's another one with a preacher. Like, I don't even know in this small town. It's like he's the preacher and the sheriff or something. Now it's, he's also the, likes the raping of children. And so he's in trouble for that. So, because he would get them to come to his church, and then be over them in more than one way. So all of these ways that people have played this game is all being revealed. It's all being shown. And there's no hiding who you are at your core. And when it comes up, you got to, face yourself. You got to face yourself and remember, that you're not just this from this life. You're not just somebody who just fell apart because your mom, knocked you around and your dad wasn't home or something. It's it's all a whole bunch of lives. Like you've lived devastating things. Like in this life, you may not have lost your family. You may not have lost everything. You may not have, but in other lifetimes you have. You've had to make choices that you wouldn't make in the most dire situations. Like, you've had to live through horrific traumas. You've had to do horrible things to survive. So, you are a product of much more than just what you are here and now. So you got to really open yourself up and not be in so much judgment of yourself. Like that's a program. That's something you were taught to do, to just judge yourself, to be mean to yourself, to be hard on yourself, and then to in turn be hard on everybody else. We're going to be hardest on ourselves, but then everybody else is a rotten piece of shit too. And so it's just all this way of controlling our minds and controlling our atmosphere, our habitat, our environment of how we proceed is all through the depths of self-loathing that they created by it's like an inconsistent path. It's like a path that leads to nowhere, just goes back around. It's like a treadmill. No wonder they fucking invented a treadmill, because that's what they lead us on, is just fucking keeping going around and around, like the hamster wheel. Just going around and around and around, getting nowhere. Nowhere to get to, just exhausting ourselves, worn out, and not sure what the hell we're even doing. But that is one thing. So many people, that's one thing that's really waking up a lot of people. So many people, the treadmill lifestyle really wakes people up. And like, what the fuck am I doing? Where am I going? What am I doing this for? Where am I going to get? When am I ever going to get ahead? When is this treadmill or this hamster wheel ever going to get me where I want to be? It's not. You're just going to keep going around in circles, because that's what they want you to do. Just keep going around in circles. And that's why you got to break free. How do they keep you going around in circles? Is in confusion. And so you got to just take a chance on thinking outside of the box. You got to just be risky and just think like, well, maybe, possibly, just, make those words a part of your dialogue. Not everything is what it was seemed to be. And everything has been just so based on lies and control in every aspect of existence that we have been taught. And there's supposed to be a lot of stuff that's supposed to be going on this week. This is supposed to be when this second moon is showing up, which there's people getting all sorts of footage of Nibiru up there. There's more than one shadow by the moon now. There's a lot of stuff going. It's like the merging of all these different realities, all these different, and it's not like they're moving through space. It's vibration. It's everything is right there, but your vibration doesn't pick up on it until your vibration does pick up on it. And so this is where our vibration is expanding to the point now we're going to see these other realms and realities all around us. And it has been this like flashing. It's like they're subliminally waking us up by these flashings of things, like this weird stuff in the sky, this weird thing. It's like this way of getting us to be like, that's weird. That's weird. And then it's, but it's this ever expansion, change in our vision of getting us to see more of what's out there. And what's out there is these different realms and stuff. It's all different realms of existence. It's different, just like how we are here in this shared space by all ideas of what we consider, you know, when they tell us that we're on this globe and stuff like that. And then we think all these different people are in the same reality as us, but no, it's all different cultures, it's different, complete different realities of lessons in existence and things that the people are going through and what the people are learning about and stuff. So it's not it's not all the same. But then it's going to go micro macro, like it's even going to go more broad. But that is why a part of this accepting to move you into the more broad, like you got to accept where you're at. You can't just go to the next phase. Just like at the healing, you can't jump from this thing into the hardest thing. You have to go through a lot of things to get to the harder things. And it all leads to deeper understandings. So it all works together. It's steps of development. It's not things that you can just skip around and jump around and go where you want to go. It's all in this stages of developing yourself. And whatever it was I just had said, my stomach keeps growling. It's making me distracted. But anyways, I think, you know, I think I've said what I was going to say. I think I would just be repeating whatever it was, and pretty sure you guys can put the pieces together. And when some of these people come in and they're so rude, like I was like, I will just delete it, you know, I'll just remove it. Like, why do I have to sit? Because you're hateful. And especially if it is like these paid bots to go in and just disrupt channels and stuff. They're not even fucking human. And if it is a human that is that broken, that you're just that hateful and you're just that inconsiderate, and you think like, especially when somebody's like bearing their soul and trying to talk to people who are also trying to get to a point of feeling good about themselves, is to go in and try and shame them and make them feel bad about it. It's like, you know, I just, you know, God feel sorry for those people. That's why I think like that can't be real. That can't be a real person. That's got to be like a paid bot. Like, I think most of the people at this point are feeling a lot of deep emotions and would have a hard time being really hateful. But then you see some of these videos. I've seen another one too. Besides that weird guy who's going up at mag, he's acting like a mental case. And I saw another one of these people, like, it's got to be the TDS programming. Their minds are just like blowing up or something. Like they're losing their minds. The news keeps telling them like these people who support Donald are racist psychopaths, and they just keep believing it. It's like, do you not know any? Have you never met a person who supports them? And you can't look at that person and go, oh, well, they're not that. They're not that. So that kind of blows a hole in their stories. So let's look at this a little further. That's what gets me, is how many people, and you try and tell people, you try and point it out. And it's like they're not ready to hear that yet. They're not ready, but that's where the universe is gonna step in. It's gonna show. It's going to clear things up. Everything will be cleared up. That's the thing. But then it's the clearing up. Some things is going to create more of a mess. So there's gonna be more messes to clean up. Or just get started. Humanity has got to clean up all this old mess so that we can create this. It's like we got to clean up the old party, and so we can start planning for the new party. And so, you know, and it's the old party. It was like a ditty party. It was pretty nasty. There was some nastiness to this old party, and how dark that some people go. Like, I just literally saw a guy say, you know, how can you not be addicted to the corn when it's everywhere around you? I was like, well, I think it's pretty easy. But, you know, that's where some people are at. Like, they don't have any control of their impulses, no control of, like, those are the people, like, I don't want to say those are the people we need to fear, but it is like, dang, get control of yourself. Like, where are you going with this? And, oh yeah, is now you have these government thing. Like, of course this was going to start coming out. you know, well, we should probably just go ahead and all eat the cats. We should probably, that would probably be the best thing. We should just start eating the pets regularly. Well, we already, I think that that's even in the 30 that is said. They're going to say, well, you know, it's a little too frivolous having a pet. That's not what humans can do. Like, there's not enough resources, so you're going to have to start eating those pets of yours. So it was just the opener. At first they were saying, like, those Haitians, they're eating them. But that was just the opener to get us to be like, so what's the deal with the Haitians? Who's the Haitians? What's the Haitians? Oh, well, you want to know about them? Let's talk about the Clinton. So all going to lead to certain conversations, all conversations. And now even where, you know, the dealer is like, well, you know, he was also a victim. He was also somebody groomed him, and the names that groomed him even get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so that's why, you know, they throw him to the wolves. But there's no, there's, it's like everybody can see through it. Like, this is like a new stage. This is a new thing. Even now they're saying that Ghislaine has released all the names. Like, she's gave the names, and not only have they got the names now, they were also putting in their political affiliation. Blue is so anyways, but there's no, it's all gonna go now. It's all gonna keep going and keep going, no matter if we run into bumps and trumps and slowdowns and all the things that we got to go through. You know, it's going. This is a cool visual that I saw, was like a big pond that is frozen over in the winter, and then it gets a crack, but then the crack just keeps going and going, and that's where we're at. And there's so many people who are on the defense. Oh, this is gonna stop, it's gonna stop, they're gonna do this again. Man, you know what, wherever it slows down or whatever, it's not gonna stop. It's gonna keep going. It's gonna keep going, and it's gonna build, and it's gonna look flip. So it's things aren't going to stop. They aren't going back to the way they were. Things are in a complete sense of change, and you have to be sensible about change. You have to be able to roll with the punches and, you know, pick yourself up out of the dirt. You know, just like when I got pushed off the merry-go-round of life, and all of a sudden it was like, you know, what the fuck is going on? And it hurts. It's painful. But you got to pick yourself up. You got to pick yourself up and, you know, figure out what to do next. You can't just lay there so that everybody gets off the ride, stomps all over you. But when they do, you got to remember what you're here for. You are here to learn to love yourself, to love everyone, and how to have a loving day. So it's up to you. Talk to you later. Bye.